Good day, everybody. My name is Andrea Shimadoro. I'm the National Development Manager for Cooling System in Australia, and welcome to this second part of this interesting webinar, Diesel Genset. So, Diesel Genset, part 2 today, packaging solution and application. So today, it's an interesting day because you'll see a lot of picture, a lot of application. We have carefully selected some major one with some meaning behind that. So stay with me, relax, enjoy the show, and let's go on. So before going into part 2, I'd like to do a bit of recap of summary, let's say, of part 1. And for the people that see this webinar the first time, if you are interested in this argument that I'm going to explain very quickly, please feel free and go and look at part 1 on our webpage or in YouTube channel. So on part 1, we have discussed about genset manufacturers. We give some brand, we show the type, the rating. We also show the importance of our pivoting software, our thermal simulation software, the one that globally HYDAC use, Cooley, and the power of this software, the fact that we can simulate and make a package and have an accuracy of 1 to 3% to the reality of the situation. So we also talk about the type of engine in the cooling package, all the different type, 1 pump, 1 loop, 2 pump, 2 loop, fuel cooling, and so on. And we also show a little bit of installation. So we show containerized, remote, inside the roof, outside the roof. But this was part 1. So if you like to see these things, if you want to refresh these things, please go and watch part 1. But today, guys, it's part 2 agenda. So HYDAC advantages. I choose this image of the 2 hands open because I think it resembles the global situation of HYDAC in this sector. So we got hands open. So that means we are open to any challenges. We are open to any project and challenge that this sector can throw at us. And we have successfully showed to the market that we are not afraid of any challenge, coming from an engineering background and coming from a strong German mother company and a strong center of excellence in Switzerland and a local competence in Australia, we can tackle any project the market is throwing at us. But I would like to emphasize what are the advantages of dealing with HYDAC. That's a key part of my agenda today. And the second part, that's the funny part, I call it, or the interesting part for people that like reference, pictures, images, that get excited with these things. That's the second part. So portfolio and application. So I've selected carefully 6 different applications and we'll talk to going on. So HYDAC advantage and flexibility. Let's talk about what are the HYDAC advantage and why in this crowded sector of the diesel genset market, HYDAC can still be a company to deal with, So let's have a look. So first, and at the top of everything, we use a robust technology. The name is called plate and bar or bar and plate. It's a heavy-duty industrial cooler core. So why we use these things? Well, we use this robust technology because it's a peace of mind for the end user. It's a peace of mind wherever we have applied this sector. It's, we have done a nice shooting test. You can see on the right side of my screen because we want to get to people a practical understanding on how strong this technology is. Well, we shoot a little stainless steel sphere. And what happened is that on the plate and bar, the sphere just bounces back. And on the tube and fin, the standard technology that you have in the automotive type of sector, the ball just went through it. So just to show to people what we mean about robust plate and bar technology. So sometimes people accuse us to overkill this sector with this technology. Well, we answer in this way. We say, well, then this technology will never fail. You will always have no leak if you use this heavy-duty, robust type of technology. That's our number 1 point of differentiation. The number 2 is that over the years, we have developed a lot of air fins and turbolator. The turbolator are the inside type, the air fins are the outside. And depending on the project, depending on the installation, if it's a containerized, if it's an outdoor, if it's whatever, we choose this one, and we choose the thickness and air fins of each of these application, tune it to perfection. So that's one point of differentiation dealing with HYDAC. We can make something tailor-made like this product, and by doing that, a new series is born, and we call it the ACMS. So ACMS means air cooler modular system. Why modular? Modular because with the modular concept, we become flexible. And becoming flexible means that we can tackle any challenging project. So you get a nice example on the picture here. You can see we got a vertical option with the standard electric motor or VSD. We got a tabletop version, like we call it. We can mount it at the side of the container, on top of the container. We can have also a compact heavy-duty system. This we call it the HYDAC box or the HYDAC cooling box. That's a nice arrangement. People can just grab it, drop it, and relocate it. So how nice it is and how beautiful it is for somebody that has to relocate a whole container. Having the standalone system, it can move and go anywhere else, and it's easy to deploy, easy to move. Last but not least, we've been very strong in the stacked version. So the stacker or the sandwich, like we call it in Australia, is actually two core, one in front of the other one, EHT and LT, depending on, if it's blowing or pulling. We change this sequence, and we study carefully what fin we put in the two circuit, what distance we give to these two cores. So it's an optimized package, but when it comes to tight space, like inside a building, inside a container, that's really a good solution at the moment. So another important point, or another point of differentiation, is that there is a subclass of the ACMS series, which are the low noise. So we have done a lot of modular on the ACMS where we can go to extreme low noise. And extreme low noise, I think the chart speaks 1,000 words. We're talking about 73 decibel. We're talking about 59 decibels. So me speaking now with you, I'm already over the 60 decibel, guys. So that should get you an idea of how silent this can be. And this is only with the use of the VSD incorporated into the electric motor, incorporated into the fan. So a very, very nice technology that HYDAC has developed with a German partner. So just to summarize, why HYDAC? I like to put 8 points. Plate and bar, we discuss. Tailor-made system, we can tailor-made anything you want. We only ask you, give us an order for minimum 2 to 5 pieces. We can tailor-made something for you. We got modular solutions. So by now, I think the idea of modular, it's clear. We can put it vertical, horizontal, sandwich. And of course, with our plate and bar technology, nobody can get close to us when it comes to power density. So what I mean by power density, a certain cooling power applied in a certain space. So that's the compactness power density that we are like the number one in the world at present for this sector. So due to all the 4 points above, no problem to build in a container, but I want to stretch this fact. Why HYDAC also on the container? Well, HYDAC is not just doing the cooling package. HYDAC globally is actually a true partner when it comes to aerodynamic design of a container. So if you partner it with HYDAC, if you give us a project, we can study and we can tell you exactly like the air should travel inside a container, how big the opening should be, what kind of sound attenuator are you looking for. So we can give you more than just dropping you a cooling package. So it's a collaboration, we call it. And this collaboration also extend to an engineering support globally and extend and is not limited to 3 major mega factory, one in Europe, one in USA, and one in China. So we have a global presence, we have a global engineering support, and we can develop project globally and have all the people connected at your doorstep in order to commission properly and be successfully on a project with a Genset. So let's go on. So product portfolio and application reference. I think it's what everybody wants to see today. So I'm not holding you the breath, but let me talk 5 seconds or 5 points here. Why we want to put to you the concept of the one-stop shop. Well, 10 years ago, HYDAC would have only the cooling package to offer in this sector. Now, 2020, the story is completely different. So now we can really be the one-stop shop. So if you are a customer, you can come to us and you can say, look, this is the project that I want you to develop, and we can develop everything for you. So we can act as like a partner that can build, that can project manager, that can take what we call the full balance of plant project. Why? Because we got mainly the cooling package, we got mainly the diesel filtration, we got mainly the cooling filtration, we can have offline fuel condition monitoring, we have control and automation, we can remote control your system, we can do conditioning monitoring on the cloud, and last but not least, we can produce electric distribution board and electrical junction board. So let's see what we have done in this space, and let's see why we can classify ourselves as a one-stop shop. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, it will be clear for you why we are pushing in this direction and why we're not afraid or scared of going in that direction. So let's go on. Let's put some Australian reference, some Aussie reference on behind my face and behind my talking. So the first that I select, it's an interesting reference. It's in Perth, and it's called Capital Square in Perth. So Capital Square is actually a square made by 4 different skyscrapers in Perth CBD, owned by Woodside Energy, and at level -1 of one of the skyscraper, one of this building, we got these 2 interesting 2 megawatt big V16 diesel engine. And we won this project because we were the only company in the globe and in Australia that could develop 2 special sandwich stacked solution that can work in that environment with that amount of noise and with that amount of air available in the building restriction. So space again, noise again, and compactness was the key of success. But we didn't want to just supply the cooling package, and the customer and the packager, the Australian packager that we work together with, they came to us and say, look, they got really an issue here because the level -2 will be your big diesel tank, and the level -1 where the engine is and where this big brownish tank here is the daily tank. So we need a little skid that mainly condition, clean, and keep this diesel always clean, because in the event of the emergency, since this is an emergency genset, the engine has to fire up and the diesel has to be clean. So I want to stretch this point because with the new tier 4, tier 5 engine coming to this sector, if you leave the diesel unfiltered, unclean, and not remove the water from the diesel in a tank, the day that the genset has to fire up, it will not fire up. So clearly, this kind of message is very clear, especially nowadays in emergency, in hospital, in places where, if the power goes away, the genset, the backup has to start. So we develop in Australia this nice lubrication system that I'm going to talk a little bit more. So in HYDAC, we got 3 major type of diesel filtration that we can apply to this sector. So in the middle one, you see what we call the fuel conditioning and transfer unit that we developed in Australia. So it's fully designed, engineered, and tested to perfection in Australia for the Capital Square project. So interesting there, just quickly, double filtration. Why? Because we want to have a big filter to catch the big particle, and we want to have a refined filter to remove the water from the diesel. So we use a technology called coalescing technology. So coalescing, the word coalescing means come together. And why is applied to this filter, come together? Because that's exactly how we make it, the water to get out of the diesel. So all our coalescing filter for diesel are definitely not on cellulose material, but they are definitely synthetic. And they have a special feature that force the water particle to jam together, to connect together, to amalgamate together. And by doing that, they are easy to drain out of it. So HYDAC has been really successful on the onboard engine type, the one on my left. And to back up my statement, I can guarantee you and I can state you that this kind of onboard online diesel filtration is already certified and approved from 3 major engine companies, which is Caterpillar, Cummins, and MTU. So the 3 big main company has already tested, approved, and we can mount these things on big diesel genset. So that's to talk a little bit about the onboard diesel one. So it's integrated, it's a standalone. You got the primary pumps available, like you showed on this one. You can have duplex or triplex arrangement like you have in this part. You can have auto or manual water drain at the bottom. When the water rises at the bottom of this filter, you can have a sensor telling you, please go and change, please go and open, please go and drain this part, or you can visually check it. So definitely remote sensing, definitely Industry 4.0 ready, and definitely progressive monitoring. So I talk about the left and the right. Before we go to the next slides, I'd like to talk about a bit on the right one. With all the type of product available in HYDAC, making a diesel fuel conditioning transfer kit, it's almost like doing something at Lego today, or it's almost like they are doing something for a designer at IKEA, because we got so many different type of filtration that we can combine. Like on this one on the right, you see we got a pre-filter, and then we got a coalescing filter, and we got a little bottle that is in charge of keeping the moisture of the water that we separate with the coalescing. So this is a nice arrangement off the shelf from Germany. This is also another arrangement on the left, another off the shelf in Germany. A nice pump, a nice motor, a nice coarse filter, and then the coalescing technique. And we're not afraid of putting these things into an Australian standard contest, to have a dip tray, to have a junction box, to have a level switch, to comply with any Australian standard possible when it comes to these things. So let me proudly show you another example where we have some onboard diesel filtration. So you've seen an example before of the Capital Square with the fuel conditioning and transfer kit. Let's have an example of the pre-care, of the fuel pre-care install. So this was another interesting project for a company called Water Corporation, big corporation in the WA area, mainly devoted to have clean water and supply water wherever is possible, wherever is needed. In this project was very interesting because there was absolutely no space to put our cooling package inside the 40-foot container. So we did a nice appendix. So we call it a 40-foot container and a bit. That's how we joke during the project. So we attach this bit after the 40-foot container, and then that contain 2 stacked sandwich VSD-driven cooling package to cool this big monster, another 2.5 kilowatt big diesel driven genset. And the beautiful things of this project is that not only the cooler were there, but we also have the pre-care on board with the electronic sensor when the water is full at the bottom. We also supply the ACLN cooler for the diesel cooling. So again, 3-step: ACMS, diesel fuel, and diesel fuel pre-care, and diesel fuel cooler. So that's another interesting reference. Now, let's talk about the control panel, because I show you on the one-stop shop idea that we also do control panel. We do a lot of control panel. We are very fast, and I'm pleased to say that even under stage 4 restriction, the things is not slowed down for us. That means we can still pump easily this electrical box out of our Melbourne facility. You can see in these slides, we got 4 different types, from the very simple basic starter, a 2-press button, to the most complicated with a PLC, with a logic, with all these things. So we supply these in the market with any tags, any label, any certification that is required for the Australian standard. We supply these with a nice electrical wiring diagram. and for any mining, for any crazy project, oil and gas, you name it. And we basically custom build. We basically bespoke make project by project. So I'm very proud to show you the next reference where we put one of our panel. This is how a normal cooler now is going out in the market. We don't even for mining site. That's the classic everyday in our production. So the cooler doesn't go out without the box anymore. So the people like so much our versatility and our approachable, and this is how it's happening every day. So the junction box complement every day, every standard cooler. But as I say, I'm proud to show you the first project where we commission the cooling package and also an electrical junction box. I like to stretch this fact because I've been part of the commissioning of this interesting package. This is an interesting project for Woolworth. Woolworth, for people from overseas that are looking at this webinar, Woolworth is one of the 2-3 major supermarket shop in Australia. So what is happening is that all these supermarket shops, they create what they call an MFDC. So this is called Melbourne Food Distribution Center. So what are these MFDC, Andrea? Well, distribution center are basically huge warehouse. In this case, we are talking about 57,000 meters square, where you don't see many people. Mostly is robot and machine. They're moving food and make sure that the food is ready to be delivered, is fresh, and it's ready to go to the shop. So it's very critical. It's a mission critical. If something happened on a site like that, all the food will going to go waste. So the backup diesel generator was an important part of this project. Again, another challenge. Nobody except HYDAC could fit that amount of cooling package in that roof. So we're talking about 2 engines, big engine, and a total applied power, installed power of 3.5 megavolt ampere. And we could put a nice system. It's actually 3 sandwich modules together for a total of 6 fans. So you see 1 module on the right, cooling 1 engine, 1 module on the left, and our bespoke electrical distribution board, like to call it. And I like to stretch this point because when you commission a system like that and the same brand is responsible for the cooling package, for the diesel filtration, for the electrical junction box, for example, PLC or condition monitor, well, I can tell you the commissioning goes very fast because you deal only with one company, you deal only with one entity. And so this is the feedback that I got from the market compared to other projects. So that's why the one-stop shop idea can benefit you, whether you are a packager or whether you are an end user or where you're just tendering. So let's go on. Let's talk about another things that HYDAC has been quite successful recently, a few years ago. So HYDAC hydraulic company, of course, we are very strong on HPU, on hydraulic power unit. They go out every day from our Melbourne facility, small, big, bespoke, crazy, big. But recently, we have been doing a lot in what we call the diesel-driven hydraulic power unit. So I choose 3 nice type. Why 3? Because 3 very challenging sectors. So I choose oil and gas, mining, and marine. And I like to show you the 3 different type and the 3 different configurations. So let's start with the first one, interesting. So this is a little open one, oil and gas. He went to a big oil and gas company in Australia and is creating hydraulic power to move a big hydraulic system, big hydraulic cylinder and component. So this one had a Deutz engine. It's the Deutz engine is it's a series. It's called the 914, very well known in the market. They call it the donkey, this engine, because it lasts forever, it stays forever. It's still produced in India, by the way, and in this case was a 4-cylinder air cool for a 4.3 liter. And the whole project was around 75 kilowatt hydraulic power unit. So HYDAC did everything from a white piece of paper to fully deliver. So you can see here We got the oil cooler because we don't have anything for the engine, but we still have a cooler to cool the oil. We got our nice electric panel. We got a skid. So totally designed, test, and validated in Australia with our engineering team. So that was a nice success story in the very challenging and stringent oil and gas sector. Not everybody can play in this sector, and not everybody like to play on a sector like that. So very much open configuration on a skid. Second application is Suzuki engine. We're talking about the 2.2 liter here, a 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, so no air, no intercooler, just the radiator cooling package from HYDAC, and then they all packaged together. So this we are talking about around the 35 kilowatt of unit. And also the cooperation with the Isuzu team and the electronic control unit of the engine was very much a great success. What is the purpose of this package? Well, the purpose of this package is to give hydraulic power where you don't have electric power. And it's been successful so far, the application. The end user likes it a lot. We respect all the Australian standard for safety. You see, we have to put the engine on a box, on a very sophisticated box with a lot of air to get in and out, to get the engine to breathe and the cooler to breathe. Successful project. And let's say if the other Deutz one was, let's call it open, we call this one semi-closed because it's not totally closed. And let's go to the next one. So mining sector, this one, oil and gas, the previous one. And then last but not least, fully enclosed. So fully enclosed. This project was fully developed from scratch, from the white piece of paper, from the HYDAC engineering team. So we managed to design the package, we managed to design the containerized solution. We decide how the air should travel. We change the cooling package. We put our filtration. We put an extra cooling for the oil. We couldn't integrate it into the front side of it. So that's the HYDAC flexibility. That's the HYDAC know-how. We know how to do a containerized cooling package. So we can apply to any project that people throw at us if you want. So in this case, we use a Yamaha engine, a 2-liter engine. We're talking about, again, a 4-cylinder 2-liter, again, 45 kilowatt, a little bit more than the previous one, naturally aspirated. And the final usage is on a barge. So that's why the image on the top. So it's on a barge. On the barge, we're requiring hydraulic power. And so we create this nice hydraulic power unit with diesel engine. So don't forget to register to our upcoming webinar. Thank you very much for listening to this interesting webinar. Happy to answer any question if they're further down there. Don't forget info@hydac.com.au if you got anything more and if you want to chat with us. And have a great day, and bye for now.